Hi, I'm Eric with the Roanoke City's Tree Stewards. I'm out here on Campbell Avenue helping people in the community plant some trees. We know that there's some common planting mistakes that can affect the life of your tree and even kill it. So we're out here to give you some tips for success. First, dig your hole. Ideally, you want to aim for about 2.5 times the width of your root ball and about as deep, but not deeper. Next, you want to loosen and check the root ball for circling roots. See how this root goes around? It's literally circling around the whole thing. You may not know it, but these can choke and kill a tree, sometimes years after you place it in the ground. To prevent that, you can cut and clip through them or loosen and wind them to help your tree get a healthy start. Before we put the tree in the ground, let's check for the right depth. The single most important thing we can do to help a new tree thrive is to uncover the root flare and place it at the level of the soil. You can check for the correct soil level by laying a shovel or a stake along the edges of the hole. So the next thing we want to do is orient the tree. While you're filling the hole, don't forget to make sure that the tree is upright and straight, because it might look upright in this direction, but might not be in this direction. So you have to look at both. And do that on a frequent basis, because once you have all the dirt in the hole, it's going to be much more difficult. This is what I like to call a mulch volcano, and something that shouldn't be done. These cause big problems for trees because they expose the tree bark and root flare to continuous moisture. For bark to serve its purpose, keeping insects and disease from making the tree a host, it needs air and light to remain hardened. Abnormal moisture levels around the root flare can result in girdling roots and root rot, weakening the tree's structural integrity. A well-developed root flare gives the tree stability and protects it against wind throw. Spread a 2 to 4 inch thick layer of mulch over the root zone, not making contact with the trunk. Think of a donut with the tree trunk in the center about 6 inches from the mulch. One of the reasons that you put mulch around a tree is to keep the soil moisture consistent and prevent weeds from coming in and encroaching on the tree. Last but not least, make a plan to water. Your tree will be thirsty when it first goes in the ground, so make sure it gets plenty of water through its first growing season. Underwatering is the #1 killer for newly planted trees. And one more thing, if you need to stake a taller and thinner tree, try to avoid using plastic or metal that may cut the bark. And we don't want to use methods that completely encircle the trunk, which can eventually girdle it. Check out how we tie this flat webbing so the trunk has some flexibility and movement. And be sure to remove stakes and ties after 1 or 2 growing seasons once the tree has been established. At this point, you're done, and you can enjoy your handiwork for years to come.